Welcome to Paused History. Today we will not be talking about what we know, what we see around us, but we will be talking about what we don't know. What is it that we don't know? Jains. I belong to the eastern part of the country. We have Parasnath there. I have no idea what is the significance of that place is, apart from it that it is very significant to the Jains. Recently, I was traveling to Udupi district and there is a place called Moodbidri. In Moodbidri, there is a 1,000 pillar Jain temple. So me and my friends, a group of 4 people, we visited that place. You can look at the picture here right now and realize that we as a group of people had no idea what the significance of that temple was, where it was coming from, what was the history behind it, who were the people behind it. We have slight idea of the Tirthankars, which is related to Jainism. But apart from that, we're not very confident that architecture is a site of Jain temple. There are several Jain temples there. We visit that place with no idea of what bearing it has. Then there are temples in Gujarat which were used after sacking of Jain and Hindu temples. There have been other religious structure been built. You may also stumble upon them not realizing that some of the part of that has been built out of Jain temple. So the first part happened was of physical violence which decimated Jain temples, and there is also a reason that there were very few Jain kings and there was very few Jain patronage, due to which these temples were never rebuilt again, the way Somnath was rebuilt or the way Kashi Vishwanath was rebuilt. A lot of the temples in northern India are not that old or have been rebuilt, but that did not happen with Jain temples. And that is why the link between what we understand today, what we know, if you see a structure, what happens is that you try to inquire, and when you try to inquire, you get behind the history. But that is not the case with today's youth, because they don't see the structures. They have no idea. If you come down south, you will see few structures still standing. These are magnificent buildings of magnificent architecture and carved out of stones. Beautiful. But we don't read about it in our history. Even our textbooks have these white color buildings in Agra and white color buildings here and white color buildings there, but you will seldom see a Buddhist or a Jain architecture in your textbook. You will seldom come across them. So is it not there? There are a lot of temples which are 1,000 year, 2,000 year old. Why can't we write about them if we are so elaborate in writing about the 300, 400 year old buildings in Delhi, which were actually pieces of marble put together? Or most of these buildings were not built for people. These are not public structures, the ones you see in Uttar Pradesh or Delhi today. These were built for empirical consumption. But the temples of the Jains, if you look at them even today, were not built for empirical consumption, were built for public consumption. There also has to be a study on what these temples, the Buddhist temples, these were monks, the Hindu temples and the Jain temples, what did they mean? Were they only a place of worship, or were they also center of culture and community? And also there is a very interesting thing that we have to look at, whether these temples were a financial center. So there is a historical significance behind it. There are Roman temples which were used as financial centers, and we also have to dig in if these temples which were rich, so why were they rich? We never asked question who were giving them money, or were they given money, why were there vaults of gold inside? A parallel significance is that the central banks hold gold and then print money. If there is no gold and money has been printed, it is called fiat money. So where these temples holding gold and wealth as a center of, as acting as a bank, was the faith in these temples also because of their dealing with different kind of traders and people in empire. where the kings also having their faith. Did the kings of those times have utmost faith in these financial institutions which are temples? We don't ask these questions. What was the role of the Jains when the Hindus came in, Hindu kings? What was the role of the Hindus when the Jain kings came in? Who were the Jain kings? Why are we not asking these questions, and why we don't know about it? I don't know about it. Should we or should we not ask these questions? How were these two religions interacting, and what happened when the third religion rose? Buddhism. Which one is the older one? We know that Jainism was there already before Buddhism came in. But what was the interaction like? How was the Buddhist king Asoka reacting? How were the other kings reacting? What was the patronage when Gujar Patiharas were there? How was Jainism as the center of learning? That was in the north, it was Kashmir, Kannauj and Varanasi. In the south, you had these Madurai as center. Madurai, you know how it is. In central India, you have still Morena as a place in Madhya Pradesh, where you have some of the Jain temples still surviving, some ruins. And you also know that it was very prevalent in the west. So these cultural centers and learning centers, what was the role of the Jains there? What was the role of the Jains in Ved? Should we answer it? Should we not answer it? Is it significant? Is it not significant? We as Hindus, what part of Jainism do we carry with us today? The population of India today, let's not take the urban population, but the rural population, which carries out its duty in very much the old way. Whose temple was that? What was the religious practices around it? What is the cultural significance? What is the archaeological significance? What is the relation between the southern state of Karnataka having these Jain temples? And by the way, this is a 1,000-year-old Jain temple, and Jains in Punjab, and Jains in Eastern India. So it must be that Jains would have been significant majority of the not majority, a significant part of the population. We as Hindus today must have taken something from the Jain. The Jains must have taken something from the Hindus and the Buddhists. Why is it that we know nothing about it? The second very significant question is, if India was dotted by Jains, where are their temples? Where are their structure? Where is their archaeology? Where are their architectures? What happened to them? Were they a part of Punjab? We know that Kashmir has been a significant part and significant portion of the ideological journey. What was the role of the Jains there? What was the role of Buddha? There has been a recent news of defacing of Buddhist carving in Gilgit-Baltistan. Now if that is our attitude today, think what would have been the attitude in the times before us, before today. So there are two very significant parts of why we don't know about the Jains much. First thing is purging of it from our memory through our textbooks, our historians. And before that, there has been a purging of the Jain temples across India. That is why you have some of them left in the southern part of the country, but north, west and east, there is very little remains of Jains. Now to give you an example, so if you look at the rural population, a lot of customs which are taboo in the urban center, without understanding the brand it taboo. What is the significance of it? And these customs and practices are what we have carried from our past. This might be 1,000-year-old culture, this might be 2,000-year-old culture. What part of it have we carried from the Jain? There are also talks of vegetarianism getting into Hinduism through Jains and Buddhists. If you read A.L. Bhasam's book, the bundle that was in Part 1, it's biased, but you should read it. But there are historians who are talking about the vegetarianism getting into Hinduism through Jains and Buddhists. Should we inquire about it or should we not? Are their teachings and our teachings getting interlined, intermingled? What are the role of the Buddhist teachers? How many Tirthankars are there? What is the life of the Tirthankars? Hardly anyone knows. And it is a very, very sad part of our modern day existence. Please comment if you know some good books, some sources from where we can learn about Jainism, some good writers. Please comment and let us know about your view.